Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to the South Edition of Phoenix here in Ottawa. Those that are visiting and just catching this show, just coming in, we're from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, and we have this amazing group that we've started 2016, and it's all about connecting businesses, connecting referrals, and finding some common ground where we could educate ourselves and educate each other on the various things that we have throughout our businesses and our personal life. I just got back from 10 days in Hungary, and what a trip it was. It was certainly an eye opener because everything from their technology down to just the way they think. Oh, and by the way, I had mentioned this to Jacqueline already that the interest rates to buy a home, it starts at 20%. It goes to 22, 23%, and I could not believe it. I told them, I think when I left, it was like 5.5 or something like that, five. And they just looked at me like, what? It's like, and so it's really expensive to buy a home. And it's a 50-year amortization. So I just thought I'd share that international thing. It takes sometimes probably their kids to continue paying it off. But at 20%, Jacqueline, I don't know how long that would take. Most of it would be interest. So, but anywho, we're here to care and share, and just to give you. Who's doing the education today? Oh, you are? Okay, okay. Let's go to Eric. He has some words of wisdom for us.
All
Eric, take
right.
it.
Buongiorno, everybody. So your education today, a couple of things actually that I came across the last little while that I liked. So we are all in sales. We charge a fee, we charge a commission, we charge a whatever. So when somebody's asking you, the Black Swan, if you don't know it, was created, it's a company for negotiations tactics that was created by one of the best negotiators known to man at this point. He's the FBI negotiator for hostages and all that kind of stuff. Forget his name again, but I've got his face in my. So anyway, he created something called the Black Swan. So he says, basically, if somebody's asking you to discount or say, oh my God, that's way too much, it has to be $200 less, or you got a discount by 20%. The best thing to do is to just look at the person and say, okay, that's interesting. How would I be able to discount that rate and still give you the service or the quality that you're looking for? And then be quiet. Let them answer the question. Let them think of what their question was in the first place. Let them think of what is the quality that they're actually trying to achieve? What is the level of service that they are trying to achieve? And it makes them think. And remember, whoever speaks first is going to lose. So be quiet, be calm. And it's interesting because I've done, as you know, I do a lot of educational stuff and I search and I was told recently, I said something to one of my clients and they said, wow, I never would have thought that because you are such a cool, calm cucumber. When stuff hits the fan, you just take a slow approach to it. You take a methodical approach to it. You get the information. And then as a client, I'm able to make a better decision. And I was like, wow, that's fantastic. So that's the point, is just take a step back and instead of taking a step forward. If you take a step back, you can then start controlling your emotions a little bit more. So let them think of what the quality is that they're looking for or the service that they're looking for, and then answer the question. And they're probably going to say, you know what, you're right, you're worth it. So let's just continue. And you'll probably never have that conversation again. So the other thing is, we need to, as entrepreneurs, business owners, etc., or even just as individuals, forget what work you're in. On a daily basis, we have fear, we have anxiety. Where does that all come from? And it's super crazy important to remember that fear is absolutely only there because you have a lack of information. If you go down thousands of years ago, why did we have fear? Fear was there and built to make sure that we retracted ourselves from a particular situation, whether it was a saber-toothed tiger chasing us, whether it was whatever, a leopard, a puma, whatever it is that was chasing us. But what is the lack of information in that situation and how does it apply today? In that situation back then, it didn't know if it was already hungry and it was going to walk by the human being or if it was going to attack him. But the fear was there to sort of, push you back. Now we don't have to worry about any of that stuff. So when we're in business, when we're in a relationship and we need to bring something up, the worst thing that we can do is allow fear to take over, because all it is an absence of information. And when we tackle that absence of information, we get the information. So we find out what is the reaction of the other person once I have said whatever it is that I need to say, because what I have to say is important. Probably 99% of the time, you're going to say, oh, wow, did that ever go better than I thought? And so now you've overcome the fear, which is the word courage. So remember the word courage every single day. Courage is just doing something in the absence of the information and overcoming your fear. So there you go. There's your education for the day. Have an awesome week.
Thank you very much, Eric. And that's a great reminder. I was reading an article on the Mayans. It's an ancient cultural tribe out in Mexico, and they describe fear as a sickness. As you actually have a physical sickness if you have fear, and so that's why these guys were almost indestructible because they didn't fear anything. So yeah, great reminder. Thank you very much, there, Eric. And hey, Rick, thanks for coming in there, buddy. It's awesome. Okay.
Sorry, I
And
plugged in too many fans and I popped a few breakers.
yeah, that'll do it. All right. Okay, we'll give a little bit of an update. Since I've been gone, you guys have been doing great. Some of the stats I'm looking at, we'll update a couple of them, but we're hovering at about almost 300 in that way, and we've got business. I've got. Oh, here, let me get some stats here from right off our website actually as well, and this gives us an idea. This is our hub, basically, pbex.ca. And there's our member of the week. Yay, Eric Perron, of no less. And he's got, there's his e-card. And those that are watching on Facebook Live or LinkedIn Live or YouTube, this is one of the realtors that we have within our group, all very, very competent. And yeah, to give Eric a bit of a look-see, you see what he does, and his e-card will connect you to all his other ways that he can connect to you. And if you have any visitors, you just connect them to the 4 chapters that we have, basically, and they're all have these red buttons that have the Zoom link embedded inside it. This Thursday group is our South group, whenever you want to come in, and this is, of course, sensitive to the time zones. So whatever time zone that you're in, you could just click that, and we're certainly looking forward to meeting anybody that is international, because a lot of times we have our businesses. If you're a consultant of some kind, you can do business internationally, and we've certainly learned that through COVID and many other things. We also have an after hours group. Our next one is on July the 2nd, and this is where people, when they can't network during the day, when they're so busy, we have time once a month in the evening from our 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where you could come in and just talk about your business. It's a little bit of a different format in the sense that it's not so much a networking, although there is networking that happens. We do exchange business there, but it's more focused on a mastermind where you have questions about your business, things like Eric just brought up. You're too expensive. Can you go a little bit lower in your price or whatever? And sometimes people have a really hard time saying no. That's one of the biggest factors is when somebody tells you you're already probably the least expensive going, and they still want more. So some people have a really hard time with this. So we talk about stuff like that in those meetings, and how to get your goals set up. So your goals are all set up for the year, and then each month when we meet, we talk about your goals and see how far you were in that month, and we straighten it all out. By the time we get to the end of the year, everyone pretty much gets their goals, unless there's somebody new or something. But And that's the whole idea. You have your yearly goal, and then we want to attain that and more by the end of the year. And so far, it's been working great. Penny Lee does an amazing job in focusing on very specific items in that, and she is a business coach and other things that she'll talk about more today. The Every Tuesdays, Bernie has his East Tradewinds networking group, and it starts at 8 o'clock again, Eastern Standard Time, and you can adjust that with your international time zones. And we talk about all kinds of things. And I think the last meeting he had, there was something like over 20 people internationally that were there. Always has some great speakers, so highly recommend you tuning into that when you can. I have my
Tony,
Tony,
I just want to quickly interrupt. Tony's
yeah.
speaking next week, so just FYI,
Ah,
guys.
yes, I am
Tony's
speaking.
he's internationally there, so just FYI.
That is true. I'll be talking about some pretty different things regarding energy. I have a meditation every Friday. On the next one is on the 21st, this Friday at 1:30 Eastern Time, and we're talking about the power of words, how words are so impactful, and as Eric has already brought up that when you combine the word with the look, there's a certain look that you have with the word, and you just stay silent. They're so powerful. Sometimes we think we have to talk our way out of it, and that actually disables you. The more you talk, the less effective you're going to be. Some of the people that are most influential talk very little, but when they talk, it's very impactful. Penny Lee has her dance class, and here's the link for that and all her classes that she does during the week. And next week, now I have another part of this area, and for this South group, our next meeting next week is an in-person meeting at the River Lounge. We meet at least once a month to try to just to meet people on a one-to-one basis. So if you have any visitors, please get them to come into this particular opportunity, because many people, they like that human contact, and this is what we're really trying to capitalize on. We do need a contractor, we do need lawyers, we do need various people in our group so we can give them business. I don't know how much business that we have to turn down because a certain category that we don't have in any of our groups. So this is a great opportunity for someone that is just starting their business or is going and they want to grow more. Remember, don't network when you need business. That's not a smart way of marketing. You network all the time. When your business starts to spike, you find ways to keep contact with those people, because like anything else, the leads will start running out, and then you'll be at a position again where you're going to need leads. Doing it smart, you're going to be just like Eric and Penny Lee, where you have leads all the time because you're constantly on, and that's the idea. So we meet once a month here, and our East group, when we have it, we have our that's happening on July the 11th, July the 10th, and that's going to be actually, believe it or not, at Dave's place. We're going to have our Zoom meeting in the morning, okay, just to get that part of it out where we can share our businesses. And then for lunch, we're all meeting at Dave's place, and we just need a count of how many people can kind of come to that one. So let us know on that, and we can get Dave set up with the food and everything else. His address and everything is on the note here in their calendar. It's on Neighborhood Way. And again, if somebody wants to join Phoenix or interested in this kind of marketing, then this is kind of what we like to do. As far as our business goes, we got 84,000 in shared business this year. I'm going to be adding about 3,500 to that just for the last couple of weeks that we've been going along. And we've got 4.6 million in terms of shared business since the beginning of the inception of Phoenix 8 years ago. We have about 241 business referrals so far this year. And our e-cards, by this point, I haven't checked our stats, but that's got to be around close to 5,000 clients by now. And that's amazing, because our goal is to get 10,000 hit clients for the year. And we're in June, so we're about halfway. So as Penny Lee would say, we are on target, baby. All right. And if you do have a visitor that you want to be able to share what Phoenix is all about, here's a QR code for that and a link to apply to our group. Our golf and various other events that we do for charity is now hovering around just under 40,000 in terms of how we are giving back to our community. And the that's happening. The next golf tournament is on August the 1st. So if you want to play, let us know. If you want to be able to sponsor, it starts at like $100. It's very affordable, and you're going to get a lot of traction from that. We're on social media. We're everywhere in terms of that. So it's a really great cause, and it's all going to Make-A-Wish. As far as I know, Bernie, we're 100% of the proceeds are going to Make-A-Wish to give some child their wish when they're in that predicament health-wise, and it's Make-A-Wish is such a great avenue to be in. All right. Is there anything you want to add there, Bernie, while we're at
Yeah.
it?
So what I'll do is I'll push in the post for it for the event itself, and the Facebook link is there. So Ema, one way, by hook or crook, you're going to get that link. The important pieces are one, the golf course is going to take their fees for the course, right? Because that's why they're in business. Everything else, all of the net proceeds go straight to Make-A-Wish, right? So it's nothing is left behind. Phoenix doesn't make any money. Tony and myself, Mike, aren't making any money. The other kind of cool thing is, if think of who your suppliers are and who your contacts are, let them come on out. It's a good way to get marketing, to get the in-person contacts, the networking piece. And I want to say thank you to Norm, Steve, Eric, right? Because they've already signed up in sponsorship in different ways. Ema and Dwight are supporting it. Ema's taking pictures. So if you're naughty or nice, she'll capture that. Well, depends, right? That's no, you're not going to do the naughty pictures. Okay, but if you're having fun, she's going to capture those pictures. What I'm getting at is, think about who else. Like, if you can make it, great. If there's somebody else that can make it, invite them, or say, listen, come on in. If they sponsor, they'll get advertising. They'll get their ads mentioned. Right now, Steve and Norm and Eric are up in the if you go to the website, it looks at sponsors. They're already inside that slide deck, right? That's part of the deal. But Mike is also going to help push it out into the other spaces. Plus, us in Phoenix will also promote it, and then Cat Herd will also echo the same stuff online on Facebook and on LinkedIn. So it just behooves whoever supports it. You'll get recognition. Over to you, Tony.
Thank you very much, Bernie. And just the newest player that I chatted with yesterday. Thank you, Jacqueline, so much for coming in, and you're going to be playing for that day. Looking forward to seeing you on that day. So hopefully we'll pair up or something. So let's get right into our introductions and give you an idea of what some of these amazing members do. All right, and let's start with Mr. Eric Perron.
Gotta find that mute button.
Yep.
Hate that mute button. It's always in the same place and I never know where it is. All right. So Eric Perron, I'm your real estate advisor with England Volkers Ottawa. Instead of telling you what I do, I wanted to share with you something that I was proud of. So I was representing the seller recently in a sale. I had a phone call from somebody that saw the property on realtor.ca. Representing the seller, talking with the seller, they said, let's make sure that nobody visits our house unless they are pre-approved, and that the realtor has physically seen the pre-approval letter, so that we're not wasting anybody's time. My family has to be displaced out of the house. We have to clean the house. The whole affair takes, 3 to 4 hours, as you might know if you've ever sold a property. So somebody called online. I said, listen, I'm really sorry. I apologize if this is, not a question you want to hear, but I just want to make sure that you do and have your pre-approval already, because we're asking all realtors that as well. And they said, well, actually, yes, we do. We've gone to the bank. Okay, great. Who have you gone to? Oh, we're at TD or whatever it is. Fantastic. Not a problem. Let's set up that appointment for you and let's meet with you. So I presented the house to them, and in the, trying to figure out if that's the right house for them or not. In the end, I ended up getting an appointment, one of 3 realtors that they're interviewing, to be able to list their property so that they can buy another property. The property in itself that I listed and met them with was not the house for them. But what they did say after the hour that I was with them for their listing presentation was, one of the reasons that we really liked you and that you stood out is that you took care of your seller in an extremely fantastic way, and we would love to be represented that way as sellers as well. So I thought that was really cool. So remember, it's not necessarily what you say, it's how you treat people. Take care, everybody.
Absolutely. And over to Penny Lee.
Good morning, everyone. Penny Lee Prebo, the Dancing Motivator, co-founder of the Graduate Thrivers Incorporated. Super excited to share that I received a call from a hospice care center after one of the people that work there that provides service attended a workshop that I did with one of our members back in the fall. And as a result, they sent my information to the activity coordinator, and this person knew all about NIA. She had lived in Boulder, Colorado for 17 years, and there is a very strong presence of NIA community there. So she totally understood what movement and medicine was all about, combining movement to generate your own natural healing. And so she requested my services. They received a grant, and I'm super excited about the potential of working there. And it's not necessarily for the individuals that are in hospice. It is for the caregivers. So that's what I really would like you to think about today is, who do you know who is caring for an elderly parent, a spouse that perhaps has got a debilitating disease that the caregivers need to take time to take care of themselves so they have the energy to help their loved one. So keep me in mind if you're talking to people who are caring for a loved one. Movement is medicine.
Good take on that, Penny Lee. I like that caregiver things. I know they're going through a lot of stress. Way to go. Nice. And over to Rick. Rick, how's everything shaking there, buddy?
Oh, pretty good. So yeah, it's been hot. Nice thing is like this is the perfect time of the year when that sun's coming in, beaming through your house. That's where our 366 glass comes into effect. This is where, like right now, my office doesn't have 366 as an example. I'm melting. But my living room, I have 366. The floor is cool. The sun's beaming right on the floor, right? I'm not feeling the heat radiating off the floor. So that's what our windows do, is they've cut down that UV and all that extra heat that comes in to pump up your air conditioner. On a side note, one of the houses that I had to do this week, and it was an emergency one, was Thursday night. They went out for dinner. They come home, and somebody kicked in their front door, broke the frame. Another company told them 6 weeks to get the door in, to replace the door, needs a whole new slab, frame, everything else. Quoted them $3,800. I was able to fix it in 2.5 hours for $350. So a lot of the times when something's broken, you just need to know how to fix it. I have all the tools in my truck. I just showed up, did all the zippies, all my cutting, made it even stronger than before because the original doors only have a 1-inch screw. I put a 4 or 4.5 inch screw, depending on how far the stud is. Recocked it, retrimmed it, everything else, and everything went perfect. So they were able to open and close the door the next day versus having to wait 6 weeks to get a new door in. So Rick from Boyer Boys Home Maintenance and Repair, we fix your home.
Nice, Rick. Good story. Thank you. And over to Ema. Ema.
Good morning, everybody. That's amazing, Rick. That's really good to know for sure the type of work that you can do. Okay, so going back to me, you know what I do? I take pictures of content or services or products, and it's always really interesting how you can put the timer, Tony, so I don't go by. But it's always interesting to see how nervous a client can be when you're going there to photograph them, and they have anxiety. They probably didn't sleep well, you know, the night before, and they're always so nervous. But I just wanted to let you know that if you have customers like if you have people like that they're very nervous about having their picture taken, just remind them that it's just a matter of, you know, being themselves, and really it's not about the photography, but it's about showing the rest of us what good workers they are, or the passion that they have, you know, to show it in the photography. Is really not about their physical appearance, or how they or how they look, or how anything looks. It's all about showing in the camera, or in the or whatever camera. It doesn't matter if it's a video photography, the passion that you have for your business. Thank you.
Thank you, Ema. Awesome job. And over to Jacqueline. How you doing, Jacqueline?
Good blue morning, everyone. I know you wanted to walk out in our plus 30 plus degree weather. And when you took a look, you decided to grab your water bottle, take a breath, lift the shoulders, take them back, drop them down, and know that you only had a few more bottles to complete of your water. On a side note, nothing to do with mortgages, but really great reason. Your body weight divided in half, and that's the number of cups of water you should have every day. And I say that because also some interesting information has come out of the government, and they made decisions about how the Ontario government will strive to truly strengthen customer protections for homeowners and buyers. They decided that there's 4 initiatives that they put together. These initiatives will aim to prevent harmful business practices. They will ensure to inform decision-making for homeowners, be thoughtful, protect condo owners, there's a few of them out there, conserve Ontario. And I really appreciated that we live in a city where we've got many heritage homes. And so they're looking to find a way to conserve, and then to support development of housing, interesting, near transit hubs. At this moment, aside from all of what I've just said, I would love to talk about if you decide to purchase a new build, a new freehold, and you think this will be great, the family loves it. Eric is here helping me understand what I'm going to be doing with this new home. You now have 10 days to think about it. It's called that cooling off period. We're allowed to take a moment when we see what we could have. And we've spoken to Eric, and Eric is thinking, do you understand what you're moving into? You get to say, give me 10 days. So when you're looking for strategies for your mortgage money, everyone needs to contact their mortgage honey.
Thanks a lot, Jacqueline. And over to Sam.
Thank you, Tony.
Yep.
Happy first day of summer, everyone. Sam Stewart, connectedcars.ca. Feels like summer, I think, out there. At least it has to me.
Yeah.
I don't know what I do, so I'm not going to spend a heck of a lot of time. I do dash cameras, as you all know. Also, minor repairs and brake jobs. But Eric was talking about fear, and he reminded me of something that happened to me this spring. My wife and I went on a holiday to Cuba, and we purposely went to a location where they have snorkeling right off the beach. So we went out together first time, and then I got a bright idea to go on my own to a resort that was closed just down the way to see where there'd be possibly more fish. Sure enough, there were lots more fish. And when I went out past the end of the wharf, I got to see something I didn't expect, which was a reef shark about 6 feet long. And I thought to myself, yeah, that's pretty scary. But instead of panicking and swimming away, I thought, well, I got to think of things I'm supposed to do to make sure that shark doesn't want to take a bite out of me. And I just stood there, sat there in the water and kind of watched the shark, and it swam away. Thank goodness. So there's my facing the fear for you, Eric, this morning. Thank you for that. And but I went back to shore, didn't go back out after that. Samsara has connected cars. That's today's mobile electronics without the cost of the vehicle, and lots more. Oh, dams wise, Lana had an issue with the dash camera I put in last week. The back camera managed to come back off the rear window of their vehicle. Fixed her up nicely there. Took about 10 minutes to do. And Steve, we talk about a car detailing for himself there last week, and maybe we'll get that done in the next little while. That's it for me.
Thanks a lot, Sam. Yeah, probably yelling and wailing your hands might not be the best option. So that was smart to just wait it out. And over to Bernie. How you doing, Bernie?
Well, I'm not meeting any sharks anywhere in my travels of late, so I'm and 6 feet of one. It's like, yeah, that's a tiny thing. It's worse than a Doberman when you don't know what's going on. Bernie Fransgrote. So what do? I do connections between things, not usually between your fears, but between the people you want to partner with. So the potentials, and that's kind of the short of it. You travel in a circle, and like we're traveling in this larger circle in Phoenix, and East Trade Winds also, where Tony's going to be speaking next week. We travel in a circle, but you know what? You can't meet all the people all the time, every time. So what I do is connect people. So I get to know you. I know what they do, and then I cross-pollinate it. So either they provide you a service, you provide them a service, or better yet, you're both looking for the same audience, the same client base, and work together. So that's kind of the nature of what I do. Knack for Business is the podcast that I'm pushing out that talks about people and their travels. And we're into 119 podcasts recorded for season 2. East Trade Winds. So summer hiatus between July 1 and September 1. So Wayne and I are taking some time off to work on our suntans and dodge sharks. And that's where I'm going to stop. And golf, just the one thing about golf, it's going to be a fun game. It's meant to be fun. So if you're not a golfer, do not panic. Throw that little white ball, yellow ball, green ball, whatever color ball you have, you can throw it down the pipe. You're going to be with other people. It's not about the game. It's about the time you spend with other people, right? The game helps. It's much like having a pint. It's not about the beer. It's not about the beverages. It's about time you spend with people and the connections you make. Over to you, Tony.
Thank you very much, Bernie. Yeah, I always find it so interesting having a white ball go in the woods and I come out with a yellow ball. So, hi, everybody. Tony Jennis from Higher Self. I'm the spirit guy of the group. I look at everything regarding business, regarding personal, as what it has to do with energy, regarding your home and how all the energies filtrate through everything. With all the years that I've been doing this, I started a few years ago and giving back to my clients because, every year since 2021, we've had record years. So it's my way of giving back to my clients and some of the people that are looking for information regarding what energy is all about regarding their business. I turn everything into their business because in that way, that's how you pay your mortgage. That's how you get your family supported when you can understand how the cycles of energy works. When things start to slow down, it doesn't mean your marketing isn't working. It means your business is taking a breath. And in some of the words that we're going to be talking about this Friday, it's all about the power of the word and the power of the silence. What different words that you talk to yourself about actually disables you, and it's like a spell. By saying that I can't do something, you're actually programming that it cannot happen, or it's going to be extremely difficult to happen. And we're going to be talking about some fun stuff, some funny stuff, and then some more serious stuff of how words that you talk to yourself about and other people just seem to go in a direction that you actually get what you get, even if you don't want it. So hopefully we'll connect to you on Friday. If you don't, we have a recording program where we can send you the recording at the every week in your email, and it starts at like $5 a month just to take care of production costs. But that's what we're going to be talking about this week. Tony Jennis from Higher Self, where we are here to raise your spirits. And every week we give one of our members more of an opportunity to talk about their business and their industry than in about a 1-minute segment. And this week we're going to be showcasing Steve Brenninkmeyer. And so Steve, take it away. Can't wait. I'm riveted.
Hi, everyone. I'm Steve. My company is By Media Design. You can see it right behind me, the logo, and I've got my QR code there on the other side. And if you click on that, it takes you to all the good stuff. But I'm going to focus on, so what I do for a living is I help people with their websites, website design, website programming, and also the social media platforms that kind of accompany that and become part of the ecosystem that helps people get noticed online. I always say, for people who say, can I get away with just having a website? With just having social media, I say a website is a good idea as well. You tend to want to have everything pointing back toward a website. But that's just a little tip I'm putting in here. But the thing I want to talk about specifically today is touch points. Your website is a marketing touch point. But what are touch points in marketing, in online marketing? Well, marketing touch points are methods businesses use to share information with customers. They're distinct points of contact where customers interact with a product, a service, a sales representative, or a company. These interactions form data which you can use to improve business goals. For example, a customer touch point might include the first time a customer sees a product or on a shelf, or their first purchase of any of your services or products. Touch points often rely on technology and social media to communicate with customers. And why are these things important? They're important because they can really influence decisions. The factors involved in getting people to actually move on something, like if they come to your website, that's one thing, but what's going to make them move toward wanting to actually purchase something? So before and during purchases, they influence whether a customer makes a purchase of your product or service. And you also can talk to repeat customers. You can get people to do repeat businesses or repeat purchases if the messaging is good and they're given reminders, because people's attention spans, they might be with you one day, but their attention goes to something else. Sometimes people would be perfectly willing to purchase again or use your services again, but sometimes they just need a gentle reminder. Customer feedback also is very important. After they've purchased something, you can get their feedback, and you can learn insightful information about your customers, including their likes, their dislikes, and you can find out how you can get their suggestions on how to improve your services. So having that kind of dialogue and capability, of course, social media platforms allow you to do that in many ways. People are encouraged to have dialogue, obviously, on social media. And so that's a great channel, using social media, putting out questions on your social media, finding out just random questions like, what's your favorite product that we offer? What's your favorite service? Why do you like it? Sometimes people will engage in those conversations with you. Also on a blog, you can do these things. You can put a question on a blog and see what feedback you get back. And
yeah, Steve, I have your PowerPoint presentation. Do you want me to show it, or
yeah, well, actually, I think I can do it here.
Okay, yeah, it's up to you. It's
Yeah,
all good.
I've got it. I have it ready to go. Thank you. Yeah, I
Okay, yeah,
realized
yeah.
I'm doing a lot of blah blah there. So that's my initial slide. We'll just go down here.
But
So
nobody can see the slide.
nobody can see it. We gotta do
No.
some screen sharing.
Yeah, yeah. You sent it to me, but nobody can see it.
Maybe I'll have you pop it up on there if you can. Then
Done.
easier that way. Thank you, Tony.
Good. It's all
That
good.
paid off. Actually, yeah, the font's coming in better too because it kind of went funky on mine. Yeah, if you could just go down to next page. Yeah, I think I've already. Yeah, let's go here. Examples of touch points. So you've got your company website, you've got online ads, print ads, social media postings, website banners, infographics, blog posts, and landing pages. And those are just some, right? There's a lot more really if if we get into it. Even signage that you might have, and just the way you talk to people on the phone, or if you've got staff that works for you that does that, you want to make sure that they're, that they sound like they're having fun, that they're friendly, all of that stuff. These are all touch points, right? So we have to realize that it's the sum of the parts, right? And but a lot of it is digital these days, right? But it's been said here, even in this call, we learned a lot of tricks during the pandemic, and we realized a lot of things can be done virtually. And so a lot of companies, of course, are doing that, especially if you've got the kind of product or service that can lend itself to or has a global marketplace. In other words, that you could sell internationally. Some of us do have that. Others are more bound to the local market, but that's fine. But for those of us who have products and services that can be sold beyond the Canadian border, or all around, yeah, anyway, that can travel, those things are important. Like the way you do those things, all the little details count, I guess is what I'm saying. And the other thing that's interesting about the image that I put here, you've got your controllable touch points, but you've also got certain touch points that you can't control. Reviews. I mean, that's up to the customer if they're going to give you a 5-star review, or maybe they're going to go down a few notches because there were a few things that they didn't like, but they will put that in the review, and you have a chance to interact with customers sometimes that way too. Sometimes, if somebody leaves a bit of a negative comment, you can sometimes turn that around. There are ways to do that. And anyway, maybe next slide, Tony. Yeah. And so identifying the touch points. So I kind of touched on some of these points already. You identify customer preferences. Each client's going to have their own set of touch points that work for them. And it differs per industry. And it's also subjective. You want to really, me as the designer and marketer, I need to know my client's preferences. I need to know, or I need to be able to suggest things that work well for their industry. Examples that I know of that, and I do have a lot of experience, so I can suggest things to people in certain industries, or in parallel industries where what works in this industry also works there. So there are certain things that work for certain types of businesses, and it's important to customize the touch points to the particular business that's being discussed. You can also ask, as I've already said, ask customers directly. Now, I said social media is a good way to do that, blog posts, but you can also do surveys. Surveys are very strong tools for marketers. It requires some resources, time, effort, but you get the payback, because by really understanding what your clients are really thinking, that's powerful for you in the end. So you might need to spend some time and energy and maybe budget on getting a survey together, thinking through what questions are the right ones to ask. And sometimes customers will, often if you have good conversations with your clients, they'll suggest things that you might not have thought of. So it's important to ask a lot of questions and listen carefully. That's the big one. To listen is a key thing. There's a thing called customer journey map further down on my list here. Now that's a whole thing that could have its own presentation. And I would say if anyone's interested to learn more about customer journey maps, it's probably worth a BAM with me because I can't get into it here. But the customer journey map, basically, the concept is that your customer goes through the journey from the moment that they find out about you and they interact with you. And the thing about it is to understand what to do when. So there's a question of timing. You don't want to bombard them with too many emails. Again, it's very customized because depending on what industry we're talking about and what the customer needs are, it's going to vary. So I can't give sort of blanket statements about what to do, what not to do, and best tips. It's very specific. But have a BAM with me and we can get into it for your particular business. And create different categories is sort of along those same lines. Next slide, please, Tony. So tips for using customer touch points. I've kind of mentioned that alternating between touch points is important. So once you've got this kind of plan in place, or sometimes this just happens organically, people are going to have their social media channels, they're going to be building a website. So things happen organically. But what you want to make sure is that you don't bombard people just on the social media. I'll put everything on Facebook and I'll just hit people up with lots of messages on Facebook. It's really good to alternate between platforms and have a plan so that if people are seeing you in different places, it's kind of cool if they hear about you on a well-timed basis. So you don't want to be bombarding people with messages, but also on different platforms, it kind of creates a sense of, wow, I saw them over here and they're over here. These guys are really serious about this stuff. It shows commitment. It shows consistency. And people look for that when they're interacting with your brand. Be strategic in delivery. Again, that speaks to, this whole thing of figuring out what's best for your particular niche and all of that. Utilize inbound touch points. So you've got inbound and outbound. Inbound are the things that you're getting as feedback from your client. And what I can say about this is that you need to track what people, the comments you're getting. You need to try to identify patterns, and with that you can plan and act accordingly. Create different samples of, and put different ads out that try an A and a B version of an ad and measure the results. Now, not everyone has the tool set up to measure, but if you can do tracking on Google, if you're not familiar with it, I can help you set things up that would allow you to really track responses to things that you're putting out. And that's important to do if you're getting serious about wanting to promote a product and really see what works and what doesn't work, because what you want to do is kind of see what's working well and skip the stuff that doesn't work. It's obvious, right? And next slide, please. We're getting toward the end of the presentation. Touch points during customer purchases. So this kind of talks about that journey map. There's different stages at which your customer's dealing with you. So once they've looked at your website and, figured out, hey, I want to do this, now they're in the purchasing stage. They're going to want to see your product catalog if you have one. Sometimes if you're a bigger company, you might have sales representatives. So they're dealing with a sales rep at that point. The packaging, the way you've packaged your products creates an impression as well. I get involved with some packaging. I haven't done tons of it, but I do enjoy doing that aspect of things as well. It's all part of the graphic design and branding of your thing. And checkout pages, another way to, this gives people the sense that you're not just there to sell something, but you're with them, the follow through all the way through. And I think we're at the last slide now, Tony. So the last thing I'm going to leave you with is you've got after purchases, right? So this is the last phase, customer service interactions, surveys and feedback forms. So you want to get that feedback from the client. It's super important to try to get feedback. You can have a form that allows them to kind of, it's the equivalent of a digital suggestion box, right? Coupons and discounts, you can hit them up with those on the way out. You know, they've shown, you know, they've bought something from you, give them a reward, give them a coupon for the next time. That's an incentive to get them back. Free samples, trials, follow-up emails, very important. Customer retention programs. So if you've got something that allows them to become part of a club, become part of something, you might not have that in place yet. And how much effort would it take? It takes some effort again, but that's a great way to give people an ongoing incentive, and it gives you an excuse to remind them of any specials that you've got coming up. You know, you can say, hey, you're part of my special program. Come back because I've got something special for you. This is a very natural way, and if they opt into that, then you know it's a green light for you to give them all the incentives that they've got coming their way. And finally, I'll leave you with the obvious thing, but we all forget to ask, or many of us forget to ask for the basic thing. If you can get a good Google review after a positive interaction, or if they bought something from you, that's kind of like, that counts right there. That's a vote of confidence. If they bought from your website, try to get a Google review. They're worth their weight in gold. And I think that's it for me for today. Does anyone have a question?
How long does the process take from someone says, hey, I'm here, I'm starting out greenfield, I've got nothing, build it and make it so? How long is that process? And obviously there's iterations as you build it because you're doing A/B testing. How long is that whole cycle? Is that 6 months, a year to get there, or what?
So it really depends on the size of the company. I've helped people in this group who have smaller setups, but I'm also dealing with companies that have 10 to 15 employees, sometimes more. And when I'm dealing with a bigger company, they're going to have more hoops to jump through. They've got more people sitting around the table being part of a committee that has an opinion. Everyone needs to have an opinion. So if I'm dealing one-on-one with a business owner, I can get results really fast, but the website tends to be simpler. And there's, but I don't want to generalize because I've done some pretty complex sites for individuals too. But in general, it really depends on the size of the company, I think is what I'm saying. And if I'm
if you're a solopreneur, how long will it take you to go from I'm here to ta-da?
I can get a lot done in a month and sometimes faster. Yeah, that's the truth. Some of them take a little longer, but you know, if people want special instructional videos, if they want SEO, that SEO itself, if they want to be found for a certain term, their website has to be, if it's not an existing URL, if they've just thought about a product and just bought the URL, it's going to be sandboxed for a number of months. So Google's not even going to give it the time of day. You got to put it out there, you got to put some stuff, and then, so that's a function of Google. And SEO, like being found online, is a big part of anyone's business. So I'm not going to lie, we can build a beautiful website, but will they come to it? That's the question. It takes a while, but you can use paid advertising to circumvent that problem to a certain degree, and then replace the paid advertising, because it gets expensive, with organic as you gain traction over time. But the actual building of a site and making something look good that you could send clients to, if you've got existing clients that need to see something good to reinforce what you're telling them, which everyone needs, basically, I would say, any business owner needs something like that. That can be done within weeks. You know, you can get something good up and running.
Nice.
So,
Thank you.
I just have a quick question, Steve.
Yes.
Oh, it's 9 o'clock. Do we have another question or no?
Quick
9
one.
o'clock. Don't worry about it. Don't worry
Okay,
about
you
it.
can have a
I'll ask him
bandwidth
later.
after. Yeah, there's so much to this, and just to sort of touch on the review, I personally always forget because I'm so focused on the client, make sure they're okay when they leave. I says, oh, I didn't even ask for a review. But from what we have gathered, if you have 5 Google reviews, that works out to approximately $1,500 of extra business every year for every 5. And that's probably low. Some people are doing thousands of dollars worth 8 or 10 Google reviews. But yeah, they are a great thing if they because people look at those reviews. If my wife buys a spatula, oh, with a review on, it's like if $3. What are you doing? But she looks at reviews for everything to make sure that if other people like it, chances are it'll be good. All right.
Yeah.
So let's conclude the meeting. Thank you very much, Steve. And just point another thing that next week we're going to be at the River Lounge in person on the from 7:30 to 8:30. So if you have any visitors, that's the time to bring them in. All right. Anybody else is welcome. We will send out invitations if we haven't already. For those, and it's a great time that we'll be able to meet. If it's a nice day, I'll bring my motorcycle. Thank God we can still do those things, and so we'll see you next week, and hopefully we'll get some traction on some of this. Yeah, Stam.
Who's speaking next week at the River Lounge?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. Penny
It's
Lee,
Marlon.
Marlon. Oh, okay. All right,
That
Marlon.
should be easy. He'll be there.
Hopefully.
Yeah, he
was
is there.
supposed to be there last month.
He owns the place, so he should be there. Okay.
It's
All
not
right, guys.
guaranteed.
But let's do the final quote for the day there, Bernie. Do you have?
Yeah, actually, yes. I got 2 things. One, next Monday at the Phoenix Business Exchange Bell's Corners edition, we have Blair Patton speaking. And he does insurance. His type of insurance is the health and dental benefits. So that's what he wraps his space around. We have different types of insurance in our spaces, and home and auto. And his is specifically for what keeps you healthy when things go sideways, or you need your dental done or your medical done. So that's who's speaking next Monday. The quote for the day, that's part 2 now. Success is the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out. Robert Collier.
Thank you very
That's
much. And for those that are on Facebook Live or LinkedIn or YouTube, thank you very much for joining with us. And we'll see you probably in a couple of weeks. We're doing that in-person meeting, and there's no Zoom then. But we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Take care, everybody.